Aloha! Hey, it's Julie Zimlos from 365 Hawaii, and today we have the topic of 2 years and counting. And I have two of my really good friends here in Hawaii who are residents that have been here about 2.5 years, Scott and Marla Wynn, and you might know them also from our real estate part of being our mortgage partners. But today they are the people who have been here long enough to say something that you might want to hear about in terms of once you're here long enough, what's it like? In a different perspective than someone who's been here for like 10 years. These guys have been here for how long?
2 years and 3 months.
There we go. So that's probably the 2 years and counting. So I have 8 questions for them, and you guys are going to get some perspective in somebody who's been here long enough to give you guys some really good lowdown on what's it like after 2 years, which some people believe is the sticking point of if you're going to stay or if you're going to go. So let's start with, is living on this island what you thought it would be?
No. It's better.
Yeah.
Because we'd always just come for a vacation, right? And it's really hard to get a feel for what it's going to be like to live here when you're here on vacation because it's just a completely different vibe. We were really excited to move all of our own stuff here. We knew that once we had our own belongings, our own coffee maker, our own bed, our own cars, it was just going to be nirvana. And for the most part, it is.
These are happy people. This is their house, though. Look at the view. So, Scott, seriously, is it everything you thought it was going to be?
Actually, I think it is. I think we had dreamed about this for so long. We had been visiting Hawaii and Hawaii Island for years beforehand, and even leading up to making a decision to move here, we spent 6 weeks here. Really, because we wanted to know what it was like to live here versus what it was like to vacation here, right? When you're here on vacation, it's always exciting. It's something new. It's something to experience. You're just in a different kind of headspace, I guess, right? Mm-hmm. And so we wanted to experience what life would be like here, what working here would be like, what grocery shopping would be like during that 6 weeks. And so it really feel like we got a really good feel of what it was like. And so, yeah, I think it was what we had dreamed it would be. So
a little tip. Because on the Kona Newbies group, I keep seeing people saying to people who are thinking about moving here, make sure that you come here with the mindset of what's it like to be a resident, not a vacationer. Mm-hmm. Because that's a totally different experience, right?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing to consider when you put yourself in that mindset is what are you going to give back, right?
Yes.
I mean, I think that you talk about that all the time, and if you come to the island expecting just to take, you're probably not going to last here very long. Mm-hmm. But when you come with the mindset that this is your home, this is where we want to be, this is our community, we're going to get involved, we're going to meet people, we're going to develop a good reputation, we're going to be good citizens of the island, and that's what we try to do. Yeah,
it's funny. I was talking to somebody today. They said, you're encouraging people to move here. I'm like, no, I'm helping people be better citizens. Because we talk about this, and getting involved in the community and finding out how you can give back is so important. So during the time that you're here, looking how to actually live here, finding out how you can give back is really, it's a key element of happiness here.
Yeah.
So tell me 2 or 3 things that are actually better than what you thought.
So I'm married to a wonderful man who didn't used to be very patient. But now he's extremely patient. No.
Thanks.
When we moved here, we took our energy level, and not our frenetic energy, the nervous energy, got to be doing something all the time, way down. So just life in general now is enjoyable. We just live at a much lower
pace,
stress vibration, right? Yeah, it's just a much lower pace.
Well, some people who, because again, it's so funny, because when I decided to move here, the concept of I'm looking for a slower pace was not even in my that was not why I moved here. And I wasn't, I got here when I was 40, I wasn't retiring here, I don't know what I was thinking, but so many people said one of the reasons that they do want to live on this island is to find a slower pace of life. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize again that this was kind of it's pretty rural, right?
Yeah.
So you really do have to take it down 5 notches just because it is rural and there's not as much things to do. But in that, there's a peaceful environment that you find, right?
I guess when you were just talking, I was thinking there's not as many distractions.
Distractions.
Yeah. There's a lot to do here. We've gotten certified to dive. We spend a lot more time outdoors than we ever did in Colorado, even though Colorado is a beautiful state. But we're not cold weather people, so we were only outdoors during the warmest months of the year.
Right.
And we stayed inside the rest of the time, hermetically sealed in our house with our heater on. But yeah, we don't have a lot of distractions here. So there's not a lot of obligations to like just do. I don't know. I don't know how a better way to explain it other than
just do. I like that because
Yeah.
people do. In fact, when Eric and I first moved here, one of the biggest things that we found was that you could actually call your friends on the island and you could see them within 2 or 3 days. Where our friends in Silicon Valley made you schedule 3 to 4 weeks out to be
Right.
able to do anything with them.
Yeah.
So it's nice that sometimes you go, you know, it's a beautiful sunset. Who wants to come down and have pizza on the beach? And then you can actually make that happen here.
Yeah. And we do a lot more get-togethers in homes here
that's
than
true.
I feel like we ever did on the mainland too.
Yeah.
Like it was about going someplace, experiencing something, going out for a meal. And here everyone chips in. You know, you invite people over for dinner and they're like, what can I bring? You know, and it ends up not being your full responsibility. It's like, I just got to make one thing and then everybody else is going to bring everything else. So
You know, that's what Hawaii Island is home of the potluck.
it is.
Right? It's like
Yeah.
stone soup where everyone brings something of a flavor that they enjoy and it turns into a beautiful community experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've not had one person come over for a meal that hasn't brought something. And it might not be something for the meal, but it's a gift or a bottle of wine or something. Like people just do that here.
Yeah.
And it's not because it's an expectation, it's because it's like you want to do that and people receive it, reciprocate.
Yeah. Literally, that's part of the culture too. That's very true. Is there something specifically that
So I
you
think-
thought was better?
So I think there's two things, actually. One is the one we were just talking about, just making friends. I thought it was so much easier here than it ever was in Colorado. I mean, everything was surrounding either the kids or work or something like that, right? It's always go, 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 that energy level, right? And coming here, I think a lot of people, when they relocate to Hawaii, they don't have that network of people, either work networks or friendship networks or family networks. And so they're looking to make friends. And I thought it was so much easier and have found it to be so much easier to make friendships here than it ever was in Colorado where we lived.
Also, we live in a neighborhood where we have 1 acre properties. And you would think, I'm never going to meet my neighbors because we're on an acre, right? But we're on the side of a volcano, so our properties are actually seem much closer together because it's very hilly. But we meet people a lot because we're outdoors.
Going for walks.
When we were
and
in,
meeting
when we
people.
were in Colorado, we were in our houses, or we might have been on the walking path or whatever, or out doing something away from our neighborhood. We did not get close to our neighbors, but here we have so many close friends in our neighborhood and beyond. Just we're outside all the time. Like you run into people. It is a small town.
Yep. Especially when you tell them kind of a neighborhood, oh, I live there, and then you kind of say, hey, we should get together.
Right.
So the other thing
Yes.
that I think was better than I thought it was, and it's kind of funny, is the weather. I mean, I think that's why people come to Hawaii, right? I mean, it's because it's always warm, it's predictable, and you know that, and yet when we came here, we only came for 2 weeks or 6 weeks at most, and so it was just expected that it was going to be warm and comfortable during that time. But now they've been here for over 2 years, you really almost don't even think about weather anymore,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you get up and you don't have to think about whether or not I need to get my jacket or if I need to wear pants. Like, it just doesn't even occur to
Or
you.
in Colorado, you get up in the morning and it's warm outside and it's going to be snowing by the time you commute home.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about those
or
things.
it's 24 in the morning and it actually is like 80 in the afternoon.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? You don't get those huge temperature swings. So, yes, I think that's something that's even better than I thought it would be.
There you go.
And I want to mention that Scott loves the changing seasons, and so he thought he was really going to miss the changing seasons.
But there's actually enough of a shift in the seasons here that it's noticeable.
Yeah.
Especially at the elevation we're at. We're at 1,300 elevation. And it gets a little cooler in the mornings and the evenings in the winter. And then the summer heats up. So you definitely still feel the seasons to a degree.
And it's funny because when the first couple of years that we were here, people said, well, don't you miss the seasons? And then I started talking to some of the people who've been here for years. And they said it's imperceptible to people who are not from here. But it is very noticeable to people who've been here for any length of time.
For sure.
Right?
Yep.
So, yeah, you feel it.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so what were some of the things that were actually unexpected that happened when you guys have been here?
I know, I had an idea for this.
One of the things that you might have been unexpected, you said maybe, was how long it took to ship things here, or how long it takes to get things handled on the island.
I mean, I think when we were in Denver, Colorado, so we had, if you couldn't find it at one Lowe's, they could call the 7 other Lowe's that were within like 20 miles and somebody else would have it. And here it's like, if you go into Lowe's and you ask about something, they go, we don't have any, and we have no idea when we're getting more. Okay. So that is a little bit unexpected, but...
on a similar note, grocery shopping, and the fact that groceries aren't necessarily as readily available, or you can't really just take it for granted that you're going to be able to go to the grocery store and get whatever you want. I mean, we've been to Costco at times where the entire produce section is gone. Because a barge got turned around because of weather or something like that, so they didn't get the shipment that they normally would have gotten, and people were still consuming at the same rate, and so, of course, that goes away. That never happened. That was something that was completely unexpected, at least in my experience.
I think I was really surprised by how excited I was when I got here. Like, I started going on business meetings, like, right away when I got here. And I think when you initially met me, you probably thought, that girl's crazy.
Yeah, you're right.
Because I was just like, oh my God, I'm so excited to be here. And I thought, why aren't they more excited? For all the people I was talking to, because I was just like so excited to be here. Like, we dreamed about it for so long, and we worked so hard to make it happen. And once you finally get here, it's just like, wow.
Yeah. Especially if you are still working.
Yeah.
Because I think that sometimes, too, with people who are retiring, they have been thinking about retirement for 20 years, right? Where you guys still came thinking, okay, I'm not retired. I still am going to make things happen here. And when I got here when I was 40, I wasn't retired. I had to think about how I'm going to make things happen. So I came in like, and again, I've learned, too, the unexpected thing I found out was that don't ever say, where I was from, this is how we did it, because no one likes to hear that. But I was thinking if I got here, then I would be able to bring Silicon Valley a little bit to Hawaii, and nobody likes that ever. But the excitement you have to try and like create a new business life. Like, how am I going to jump into the business community? How am I going to make a difference? How am I going to bring what I know and make things better? I think it creates a lot of experiences for people. And then, and what I've like found out too is that when I started doing the whole like, well, I have 20 years of PR experience. I'm going to like, make an impact here. I didn't expect we already have 3 PR people here already who already have been doing this. And that's enough, thank you.
Yeah. And
so then you go like, okay, now what am I going to do? So the pivot and the shift experience that you have to have sometimes on this island is something that you have to say, okay,
I tiptoed in. Like, I knew coming in, I don't remember who gave me this advice, or maybe it was intuitive, I don't know. But just knowing that when we came, we couldn't come like...
I know everything I'm
Yeah, and I didn't know anything about the island at the time, like what it was like to live here. I was very cautious even driving around, like worried that people were worried about how I was driving, because am I driving like a local now? Like, I know that sounds crazy, but I was so determined to make friends and be a good citizen here and not upset people. And, I wanted to fit in.
Yeah.
So I was just I asked a ton of questions.
That was good.
Like, my favorite question to ask people is, so what brought you to Hawaii?
Yeah.
Oh my God, the stories you hear are amazing. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. Okay, I'll have to admit, listening's better than talking every day. I get it. And you guys, I think, have done a really good job. So when I met you, you were volunteering really hard.
I was covered in dirt.
Yeah, actually, I met her at she was actually helping a school outdoor project for the local real estate association. But you were right in. You were literally digging right in.
Yeah.
So that was actually impressive.
In hindsight, I had just gotten my eyebrows tattooed the day before, and I probably shouldn't have been in all that dirt and dust. When I got home, I had like dirt caked on the like the petroleum jelly they put over my tattoos, and I'm like, that probably wasn't a good idea.
Oh, how funny!
But it was so fun.
Yeah. That's another thing too. Giving back, it's good. Okay. Do you see yourselves living here for years to come?
Indefinitely.
Really?
So yeah.
Yep. They're little clams. Happy clams.
Yeah. So I know you're gonna address family, but I'm gonna address it here because I think that the biggest challenge for me in moving here was just being far from family. Mm-hmm. And to give you an idea, I have 4 children. I have 2 grandchildren, and we have 1 on the way. So we're actually going back to the mainland. We leave next week because our second oldest daughter is having her first baby, and she's due next Friday. So we're really excited to go back. And what we've done is just focus as much time as we can on family when we're back on the mainland, and we travel back for a few weeks at a time so we can see as many people as possible. Scott calls it our tour of the United States every time we go, because we've got sisters and parents and cousins and aunts and uncles and nieces and great nieces and all these people to see, and family is very important to me, and that wasn't something I was going to give up. In fact, he said, I didn't think you'd ever do it. He didn't think I'd ever do it.
Yeah, because they're just so close to your family there. Yeah. And being able to say, okay, I'm leaving for a while. But you guys made it a point and an intention to say, even if we're moving, we're coming back.
Absolutely.
Right?
That was part of the deal, just in coming here, that we would make sure that we set aside money and time to go back and also have people visit us here.
Right.
When we moved, we knew when we were going back the first time. Like, we knew when we got those one-way plane tickets, we knew when we were going back.
Yep.
Like that.
That was good. So you already scheduled it and everything. Yeah. So one of the things that we've talked about in a variety of videos is when people say, what was an important element of making a successful move here? Having a budget that says, I need to go back and see my family too. Right?
I think there would be nothing worse really than feeling trapped and not have the money to go back if you had an emergency or somebody needed you, or you just felt like you needed to be there for something and you couldn't afford to go. That would be heartbreaking. So I think that'd be a challenge.
Well, and also, okay, so you guys have a job that you can actually do that. So when Eric got his job as a general manager, the worst time of the year to take time off is during the holidays. So sadly, my mom was alone for the first time in her life on Christmas. And we could not get off this island because Eric couldn't get the time off. And also trying to get off this island during the holidays with airfare and everything is crazy. So that's another element, is that if you're coming, if you have some flexibility, that adds value. Having a full-time job here during December 10th to February 1st, it's just crazy. And
especially
you're trying to get
if you're
off
in
the
hospitality,
island.
right?
Hospitality, So I'd say that make sure that you realize that seeing your family in person, it adds to the joy of being here, and to add that to it. So what made you realize that you belonged to Hawaii Island?
You know, it's funny. We got married on Oahu, 2010. And then after that, we visited Hawaii almost every year. And we would go to different islands and stay in different places. And once we visited Kona, it was just like, that's it. Like, we didn't have to go back to Maui, no offense. We didn't need to go back to Oahu. Like, we can go back and visit, and we can take short flights from here, like a short little vacation. So that's something you guys can do, very inexpensive too once you're here. But Kona just felt like home. Like,
felt comfortable.
I tell people all the time when I talk to people who are moving here, the aloha on the Big Island is real. I felt it here. It's tangible. It's not like Maui, which is more touristy, more manicured. You know, like Maui's very pristine and beautiful. Oahu's a city for the most part. The country too. Kauai, they don't want you there. No, we visited Kauai, and it's beautiful. It's a fun place to visit, but it's too small. And we didn't want to live there. This just felt like home.
And we talked about this, we were talking ahead of time, that there's an energy on the island that connects with people who feel like, I finally found where I'm supposed to be. And that feels like home. Right?
When we are on the plane and we can see the coastline and we're coming home, it's like, I just get this weird, like, anxiety-ridden, like, energy feeling in my chest. I just cannot wait to get off the plane. And it's not because we're almost back to our house, because we lived in Colorado and traveled all the time too. And I mean, I was always happy to go home, but I wasn't like, oh my God, we're home.
Well, you know what? Something resonates there, because I put photos of the coastline on my blog recently. And I said, how many of you feel like when you see this view coming in from, you're flying into Kona, like how many of you feel happy to be home or something? I don't know. 700 people like that. Oh, wow. So you are not alone in feeling that, because I think there's a lot of people who say, you know what, I'm coming in. And a lot of people who have visited 20 times, they keep coming back, hoping that someday they're going to make this their home. It never changes for them. They're always excited before they come and they land. And it's, you know, so there is something that goes on this island, you guys. And what are your biggest challenges that you have found on this island?
Access to things.
Okay.
Obviously, we can order almost anything from Amazon, but there are still some things that they won't ship here.
Right.
And it just takes a little bit longer, so exercising patience again.
Yep.
We ordered some furniture.
Oh, yeah, Scott, tell them about that. What happened with that? What was the time frame on that?
Well, when did we order it again? I always forget.
The first week of
October.
October.
It's been so long.
First week of October 2020.
And it was supposed to be here in February. Then they told us there was going to be delays. And obviously some of this is COVID related and shortages
Shipping.
and all of that. But still, it got delayed to February. Then it was May. Then it was June. And they actually just got delivered 3 days ago. So certainly have to be patient. But
So now they've got their big, beautiful
But you
couches
know
in their
what?
house.
I probably love it more than I would have if we got it within 2
Yeah,
months.
right.
I'm like, oh,
The
I love
anticipation.
this
Right,
couch.
exactly.
So okay, so that and okay, so the actually having to wait it out kind of experience,
Yeah.
but then from that, the good part is that you learn a little bit of patience, and you also, it sounds like you have more appreciation.
We
for
also
things.
spend a lot less money here.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, our living expenses went down. I know people probably think that's crazy, but insurance is less expensive here. Our property taxes were lower here. Groceries are a little bit more expensive, but we don't have to pay to go out and do stuff. Like we don't have to go to movies to be entertained. We don't have to go pay to be inside someplace or go to an amusement park or anything like that. Like you have this beautiful island that once you buy the equipment,
Yeah.
you can do it for free forever.
Yeah.
You know? So
yeah. So they dive too. So they got into that. So that's a beautiful part of this island too. What attribute do you need to live here?
We haven't touched on
Well,
it enough already.
Yeah.
if you don't
Patience.
have it when you move,
You're
will
gonna
develop
get it.
Patience. If you don't develop it, you'll probably leave.
Right? It'll drive you nuts.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's not just it's just you lower the vibration at which you are living. Like I leave with plenty of time to get someplace in time. I don't make excuses when I get there. I'm going to hit traffic. People are going to drive slow. You might have to let cars in. Might be trimming trees, in which case you might take an extra half an hour sitting in traffic waiting for them to trim the trees along the highway. But it's just like, it's okay. You just turn on the music and
Look out the
relax.
window.
Yeah, and if you need to tell somebody you're going to be late, you let them know.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, I just feel more relaxed here
Yeah.
overall.
Okay. Okay. So, as you guys can see, that the worst things about living in Hawaii don't seem to be too bad, but the joys are awesome, obviously. And again, this is not like, we're inviting everyone to come and live in Hawaii. It takes a special somebody to really live on this island. And it's not just the island lifestyle. It's specifically on this island, I think. And again, it's rural, it's big. It doesn't have like a lot of the amenities that most people, deal with on the mainland. But wouldn't you say also that it takes a special somebody who kind of jibes with the energies here that's really going to be a successful person?
Yeah, I feel, well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think you can feel it. If you've been here for any length of time visiting the island, and I think you either feel it or you don't. And for us, we totally felt it. We felt comfortable. We felt at home. We felt welcome. And I think that's, for me, why this island was the right fit for me, is that I just felt very welcome, more so than any other island that I had visited or any other place that I'd ever lived. So,
Yeah. I mean, it's not like just buying a house someplace in a neighborhood or in a town or in a state where you think you might want to live and work. It is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's a complete 180 of life anywhere else, really.
Right. And we'll leave this with also, don't come here to change Hawaii. Let Hawaii change you.
absolutely.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
okay. So we're going to wrap it up. And thank you guys for being part of this. And again, we're trying to bring you guys different kinds of perspectives from people who live here. And hopefully you'll join us for our next video. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to learn more, go to Hawaii365.com for more resources. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Aloha.